Although I'm a licensed professional counselor in the state of Texas, this podcast is not therapy and should not be used as therapeutic intervention. Many of the products and practices mentioned are for educational and informational purposes only. Should you need support, please seek appropriate, qualified, and licensed professionals. Hey y'all, welcome to Between a Hot Mess and a Therapist, the podcast where we navigate the murky waters between what society expects and what it means to truly live, embrace the messiness, the beautiful chaos of life, and celebrating the rebellion in the process. Whether you're a recent graduate, a seasoned therapist, or someone simply curious, there's something here for everyone. But before we dive in, make sure you join the Hot Mess Rebellion community where you can connect to other like-minded souls. I'm your host, Shauna Lovin, a seasoned therapist and wellness educator with a very rebellious spirit. So grab your favorite beverage, get comfortable, and let's dive into today's rebellion. Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Between a Hot Mess and a Therapist. So today we are going to talk about the power of nature and connecting with nature. So this topic is very near and dear to my heart because if you know me personally, I consider myself an ecotherapist. I like incorporating nature into the work that I do. And so this is important for all of us to know about because with burnout, one of the number one ways to manage burnout is connecting to nature. And so I wanted to take a quick minute and just kind of talk about what are some of the benefits and how have I integrated this into my own personal space, my own life. So think about, there were about 100 and plus studies, research done back in like 1983. And it was done by the University of Delaware. And they were like looking at what are the benefits of connecting with nature. And out of this came the development of psychoevolutionary model, psychology or ecopsychology, ecotherapy, or nature-based therapy. So all these studies kind of put all this together, and this is where it comes from and how it was originally developed. And so what were some of the common themes that came along in this research was 20 minutes or 30 minutes every day of being outside and connecting with nature. So roughly about 2 hours a week can do wonders for your mental health. So a couple of things here is like, when you're feeling kind of sad or depressed, you're not feeling at your best, maybe you're a little anxious or whatever the case may be. When you put yourself in nature, one is a good place to ground yourself if you do it properly. And then the second thing is that nature is always moving and evolving and changing, and it actually can help you regulate your body. Again, some self-regulation. The other benefit of being in nature is it's a natural purifier. It helps release toxins from your body. It's again, how are we connecting to nature and being in that place? It's reducing our cortisol levels. It's reducing our stress. It's improving our health and boosting our immune system. It's help regulating our emotions and improving our memory functions. And all of this starts with conducting the energy through your body and grounding yourself. The easiest way to ground yourself in nature is to go outside with no shoes on. Kind of take a few minutes and stand in the grass and just kind of feel the energy moving through your body. It's also, as you're standing out there, can you feel, through your senses, what else is happening? What are you smelling? What are you tasting? What are you hearing? What do you feel, the sensations you feel on your body? What are those things? and you incorporate that into how you're trying to improve yourself. Some other things that nature can do for you is just decrease the mental fatigue that you have. Like task specific or problem solving. It's reducing your mental health symptoms if you have any, again, whatever that is. So something I like to do is throughout my work day, I like to make sure that I go outside, even if it's like just like 5 or 10 minutes. I like to go outside and just get a recheck on kind of like where I'm at. It can boost your vitamin D levels. So what is happening here is like it's helping you regulate your serotonin production, which is connected to mood and your immune function. And it helps regulate sleep. That's what serotonin does. It's also increasing your T cells, which helps fight infections and boosting your immune system. So if you have vitamin D coming into your system through the sunlight, then you are effectively managing your mood, your sleep, fighting infections, and boosting your immune system all at the same time. The other piece with vitamin D is like when you get first sunlight, like when the sun is starting to rise, if you go outside as soon as you wake up with first sunlight, you got a whole nother level of things that are happening with the vitamin D and how it's affecting your body in very good ways. So again, we want to be outside. Sunlight or nature also enhances your kind of like your senses, awakens your senses. It provides clarity. It gives you more balance and focus. You are more solution oriented. You're resilient. Have you ever thought about like when you're stressful or just stuck, you take a few minutes to go for a walk and like all of a sudden you clear your mind. Everything just seems to click in place. The problems that you were having seem to kind of dissipate and go away. That's just because there's the connection to what nature naturally does for you versus where you are stuck in your either thoughts or your feelings or how you're processing information. Nature also is a spiritual enhancement, and there's some things behind that, but when you think about like people who, like myself, are into crystals, who are into clearing your space with sage and, the symbolism that you can get in nature, it's a way where it can enhance kind of like those spiritual things in your space. The one interesting thing that came out of this study was nature helps improve your computer vision syndrome. CSV. Now, who in the heck, I'd never even heard of this until I was reading through all the studies, this particular study. And basically, CSV helps your focus and your eyesight. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. With COVID and everything that happened with COVID and how we basically went from in person, doing a lot of things in person, and we started doing everything online, no wonder we're having issues. But you're in luck. Connecting with nature can help you improve that. So if you're still working from home like me, getting outside can help improve your vision, your eyesight, and your focus. I truly can understand and appreciate that because some days I really have trouble and other days it's not so much. And I found that you have to learn to self-regulate all aspects of your body in order to not travel down like the exhaustion or the stress road leading to burnout. Like you have to manage everything. So what are some ways that are good that you can kind of get more connected or get even closer to nature and how it can just improve you? And so walking is probably the number one way of being able to do that. I intentionally, as a way of self-regulating myself, I try to walk every day. I try to walk at least 30 minutes every morning just because it's part of my routine, but it's also my way of getting my connection in if I can do nothing else for the rest of the day. Another way of connecting is keeping a nature journal. So that's kind of like you find something in nature, you kind of put it in there, and you maybe write something about it, or maybe you had a thought about what was going on, you write about it. So it's kind of like a cross between a journal and a scrapbook. So that's one way. Another way, again, is just spending as much time as you can outside. It's like taking the kids out for a bike ride or for a walk. It's the simple things of walking down to the mailbox instead of driving the car. It's, maybe going to play basketball or sports somewhere, soccer or something outside, but just trying to spend as much time outside, even going for like just a drive. Learn to balance your diet with more natural elements. So I'm not saying be a vegan or be a vegetarian or any of that. I'm not saying that. But making sure you incorporate more natural pieces to your diet can be helpful and help you make that connection. Growing a garden. So this is kind of one of those things where it's always helpful to have the skill of how to grow a garden, but it's not necessary. And it could be that you just grow one thing or a few things, or you try to grow them inside, or maybe you have a little spot outside in your yard. Maybe it's just a pot, but figuring out what is something easy that you can grow in a garden. You don't have to have some crazy immaculate thing in your backyard that is just amazing, which I hope to have one day. But starting with something small is helpful. The last big place that can be helpful is bringing nature inside, bringing the plants inside. And so if you have lots of plants in your house, you're doing amazing already. So just bring that in. The reason why plants inside become super important is because, one, you're improving your air quality. Like, you can just breathe better. Who does not function better when you can breathe better? Lord knows our sinuses are all jacked up sometimes during the spring and summer months. If you're here in Texas, it improves your well-being, your overall well-being. And so think about, like, here's just a funny number. One plant would be a little bit. 5 plants would be, say, 60%. 10 plants would be like, oh my God, you are doing amazing. The thing with the air quality, if we go back to that for a second, 1 plant would be 25%, 5 plants is like 75%, and 10 would be like max. So I think I'm doing well. If you look at my office, I have probably like 8 plants in here, and then there's like 8 more plants up front. So I'm doing great. Another thing that came out of this study was there was a study actually done out of Australia, out of one of the universities down there, and they analyzed like 50 years of like data, looking at like 100 and something articles and research around like why we need indoor plants. And so their conclusion again really was just that it improves our air quality and it improves our well-being. And so they also found that the size and types of plants matter. So there are some plants that if you do your research, you can find can support you a lot better than other plants. And so I would just suggest you do your homework. There are some basic ones, and then I think there's probably about like 8 or 10 that are pretty common that can fill these categories for you, but just find like what works for you. I bring all this up because this is one way of being able to manage your burnout or to prevent yourself from going into burnout, is really just learning to connect with nature, finding ways to be able to do that. And like I said, I'm a walker. I got crystals. I got plants. We try to do as much stuff outside. We go for a drive. My favorite place to be is at the beach. I could probably do a whole episode on the beach, but the beach has its own like benefits between the sound and the sand and just everything. And so if you are not connecting with nature, I'm going to suggest that you start doing that on a more regular basis. I hope someone found this helpful today. Until next time. Thanks for joining today's rebellion with me. Remember, it's okay to be a hot mess sometimes. It's all part of the journey. Until next time, stay rebellious, stay authentic, and keep embracing the beautiful messiness of life. Don't forget to join the Hot Mess Rebellion community where you can connect with other like-minded souls. And anything mentioned in today's episode will be linked in the show notes. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you subscribe, you share with a friend, you leave a review, and you keep coming back for more. This podcast was brought to you by Healing Roots Wellness and Botanicals. For more information, please visit healingrootswab.com.